I want to transition a little bit and talk a little bit about emotions. For whatever reason, there is not a lot of open talk about emotions. Everybody is afraid of emotions, but yet it's part of who we are. Emotions make us who we are, and emotions, positive and negative, are part of life. But yet, we don't learn anything about emotions at school, and very often even in our adult life we don't have conversations other than I'm not feeling well, or I'm angry or whatever, but we are actually never sort of deeply reflecting. And I would like to give us a very high level, just some thoughts and some a little bit of awareness around emotions in the context of COVID. COVID has given us, as you say, Jane, gifts, and has opened us up to really exploring new ways of how we want to live. But what in my group, what we all recognized is, yes, we are transitioning, and yes, we want to have certain aspects of what we know from our previous lives, but we also want to leave certain things behind. But when we look into the future, we don't know yet what actually that post lockdown life, or that new life, inverted commas, means or looks like, because that's actually not there yet. So the point is that we are actually, if you really deeply think about it, and that's the key of our sessions today, is you are now allowed, you are giving yourself permission to create the life you want, because everybody has to do this now. There are no ways exactly going back. So whilst we are transitioning, we will experiencing fear, we will experience anxiety. It's just normal. We also will experience a sense of grief. Why grief? Because we are leaving something what we knew behind. We are letting go something, and that's a natural way. It's grieving in this in this space is normal. So if you feel grief, accept it as part of your transition, as part of creating what you really truly want. Now, fear is the most basic of human emotion, and fear has got its place because fear also protects us. Now, anxiety is a type of fear, and it's usually when you are looking into the future, and you can't really see your future. That creates anxiety. But when you think about it, and again in our group it came up, when you allow yourself to take every day as it comes, so to say, and I would call it, if you are in your own presence, if you're really aware, if you really feel into you, there is this stillness, and there is that comfort, and there is no anxiety because you're really truly rooted in your own space. Um, and we need to understand, and we can really, we want to learn to acknowledge it, that we all have feelings of anxiety at some point in our lives, and that's really normal. The point about these emotions, let's call it the negative emotions, the despairing emotions, is we want to give them space in our awareness, because emotions is only, or fear is only a perception of what you believe it is. It's not real. And that's the point. Fear is not real real, but we make it real. Fear, if you think about it, false evidence appearing real to you, but it's not real. Fear is a distortion of your perspective of it. So what we want to understand is that these emotions is there is you have the power to shift your awareness to create space for really feeling into what you truly want, and that allows you to actually move into your new so-called post-lockdown life.
So Claudia, let me just ask you on that, on the fear. So what, I'm just paraphrasing. What you're saying is the fear is just something that we've created in our mind.
Yes.
Okay. And it's not like we're in a situation that we're being attacked by a dinosaur, or you know, we're not in prehistoric times where that original kind of fear instincts came from, that stress instinct. So we're not being, you know, attacked or anything, but we're creating through our emotions this idea of fear, which isn't real.
Correct.
That's quite an obscure, not obscure, but it's quite a big concept to wrap our minds around, you know, because it's completely different to what
Yes.
we're used to, because we're used to being fed fear all the time.
Yes.
Right? We're given a lot of fear narrative by a lot of people, a lot of, you know, to control or to purchase or to whatever it may be that, you know, somebody wants us to do, they can control through fear.
Correct.
So that's quite a big concept to take on.
And we are learning, you see, when we are not aware, conscious, we are actually, if you really think, we often live our lives based on these negative drivers, you know, being it news, being our own conditioning. And what's happening with COVID and that whole complexity, our triggers are multiplied. And that's the challenge, because the moment we step out of our bubble, there are so many fears being projected from everywhere. So we want to become really aware of how we are feeling.
Right.
Because yeah.
Sorry, someone's raised their hand. JL, somebody want to say something?
Thank you, Stella.
Sorry, and if you don't mind, I just wanted to say that in our group, there were two people who had medical reasons to be anxious about coming out of lockdown, and I found it quite humbling, actually, in terms of my own anxiety. We had one person who had a very difficult reaction to the vaccine, and so can't have a second vaccine. And we had another who was isolating and probably can't have the vaccine and doesn't know how to go forward. So, I mean, I think that medical anxieties must be very real anxieties, and I'm wondering how Claudia might advise about those, please.
Thank you for bringing this to our awareness. There are different levels of fear, but no matter what it is the perception we give that situation, and that becomes very complex because there are different layers. And I could go into this from a deeper perspective, but we may get a little bit lost, and I'm a little bit mindful. Anxiety is very natural, but what we want to really learn, and that's the key, is how to deal with fear and anxiety, because it happens to all of us. And that's the point. How can we handle these situations?
I don't think, the medical anxiety is a valid, a very valid one, and it's not, dealing with that anxiety doesn't make it a non-valid reason, so to speak. If you have a medical anxiety, you've got a very valid reason to be anxious because you've got a medical condition, right? So again, I'm just trying to paraphrase what you're saying, but what you're saying is, if you have a specific condition and you're very scared of COVID for valid reasons, you can still find a way to deal with that fear.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the that's the point.
Are you going to tell us how to do that?
Yes, absolutely. There's a 4-step approach, and the 4 steps are notice, observe, act, and reflect. And let me share with you the breakdown. First of all, we have to become aware. We have to notice our fear or anxiety. Many people are not even aware because they have taken on the state of fear and anxiety as almost real. And that's the point. First of all, you want to really notice that you are fearful or anxious. That's the first step. And that step alone actually can be really complex, because what happens is, when you are afraid, very mostly you don't even have the opportunity, your thought can't even put the brake on it. So that's the first thing. Notice your fear. The second, observe.
Sorry, Claudia, can I just stop you there? Sorry, yeah. I'm a nightmare and I'm always interrupting you. Can I ask, does everybody notice their fear? Are you aware of your fears as they come up? Yeah. You are. Yeah. You're saying, okay, I'm actually feeling anxious and scared right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
So that's the first point. Yeah. The second point is, you want to observe your fear. What I mean by that is holding a distance, so to say, and observe your fear. You do not want to you don't want to go into your emotional trauma. So what it means is, how can you observe your fear the best is by actually naming it. I am afraid, I am feeling threatened, I am feeling anxious, whatever it is, to actually name your fear, how you feel right at that moment in time. That allows you to give you space in your awareness. Does it make sense?
Yeah, so you actually say, I'm feeling scared of this right now.
To really say it. I'm so scared I can't breathe properly.
So you should say this out loud.
Out loud, if you can. Obviously, you don't want to be in a
not on the tube. Yeah.
Tube. But if you can, say it out loud, because that is really powerful.
Okay.
Then, so notice, observe, act. What is really important, so that fear doesn't hold tight over you, you want to do anything to shift that emotion. And there are different ways. For example, a simple way is, and you can do this anywhere. I mean, this is very powerful. It could be the busiest place, whatever, to literally connect to your breath. Breathe in and follow the sensation of your breath. The moment you follow the sensation of your breath, you are detached to the fear. And just continue this 3, 4, 5 times, or as long as you need. And that already brings you back into your body. Or if you can, shaking, dancing, moving in general is really powerful. Going for a walk. So anything what makes you, I would say, active, so that you are moving, shaking that emotion out of your body, so to say. Then notice, observe, act, and the last part is reflect. Now, you cannot reflect while you're in the state of these emotions. It doesn't work, because then you really you're so close that you are actually you fall into your own trauma. So reflect means you want to bring a situation into your mind which brings you joy, happiness, or something you are grateful for. So you want to anchor your awareness into something which is joyful. And you may find it initially difficult because that fear has got that sort of like darkness, holds this darkness over you. But the more you practice it and the more you are really sincere about it, the more you are actually training your attitudinal muscle. It's like in a gym. When you go in a gym, you can't expect your muscles or whatever, or your body change with one session. You have to train. And that's the same with your mind. You can train your mind and your body to really overcome these emotions and change them through the reflection on a situation which is joy, happiness, or gratitude. And what is really helpful is if you can think about these anchors, these reflective anchors in advance, so that in a moment when you go for a walk and you feel really good, that you bring this moment, this joyful moment, into your being, because then you can anchor it quicker when you need it. You need to have that already in your awareness so that you can actually move into that space, into these feelings at the moment you need it most. And so it's notice, observe, act, and reflect.
So it seems that some people do bits of this process, and like the breath is, a lot of people are aware of that, that if you notice your breath, it calms you, it immediately calms you. I think that most people, I may be wrong, you can all tell me if I'm wrong, but most people don't put all these processes together, because some people journal, some people look at the breath, some people are aware of their fear. But I think the powerful thing here is when you bring them all together and you do it as a process, right? Because then it becomes really powerful, and then it's something that you can, as you say, train and deal with all the time. And I think everyone's a little bit different about, the movement. So you say, you can take it through the breath, and other people, prefer to get up and dance, or to shake their body, or whatever it is. I mean, everybody's different with that, but it's the one thing that connects you to your body and takes you away from that emotion and thought, correct?
Yes, you want to distancing yourself from that emotional attachment that fear creates. And that's the best done through breathing and through movement.
Right. Because the big thing here is we can't control what's going to happen next. We don't know what's going to happen next, So all we can control is how we deal with it ourselves, and be able to deal with that as we come out of it.